Hey, so this is an update on the AMA's GoPro rule. Quick update, or rather a review, is AMA arbitrarily put out a rule that says that you can't attach GoPros to the helmet. Um, Me and a couple other guys wrote them and said, we will give up the on top of the helmet, side of the helmet, sort of stuff, and said that there's, give us um, an amendment that'll allow us to put the GoPro on the chin. Meanwhile, the AMA has also stated that their SIP tubes, any sort of SIP tubes, are kosher. Okay, so now that to me is hypocritical, as their rule states that nothing should be attached to the helmet, and anybody who's read in 5 minutes knows that the goggles, stickers, roost protector, and SIP tubes are all attached to the helmet, and for some reason they don't want GoPros on. Now, as someone who's worked in I wouldn't say politics, but I've worked in places where there's a lot of bureaucracy. I knew as soon as this rule came out that number one, whoever was at the helm didn't know what they were doing, and B, number two, was that this has something else to do than other than safety. Okay, so in the spirit of trying to stay respectful with the AMA, I decided to use my SIP tube to make a front of the helmet GoPro mount, which in no way attaches to the helmet. So I want to state this early on in the video. The AMA did not approve this modification because I was a good dude and I sent them this information. However, this modification follows their rules. So there's no way that they can suspend you for doing this. Now, they can probably make a case against me, but they're saying that there's an exception. There's no exception. This is following their rules. So write your rules better, AMA. Write your rules better. So the reason I'm upset is not because I don't get to look cool on my GoPro vids, which is what the guys who are trolling are saying and stuff. And there is, I understand that point of view. I get it. I get that. Just put it on your chest and that's it. But as someone who's slow, like, I enjoy editing the videos. I like helping other people edit their videos, and by them putting it on the front of the helmet, I get some enjoyment out of it while I get my teeth kicked in by dudes sandbagging in the C class. Okay, so that's what's kept me staying with the sport, with what I'm up against. Besides being, as I'm fighting this rule, somebody who doesn't like to lose. So essentially, what I came up with is this right here. Okay. Now, the reason it looks so sloppy is because I kept it this way so that I didn't clean it up so that AMA could see every bit. All right. So what this is the SIP tube goes in here, and there's a little plastic tee that I got with one of my SIP tubes, and you can get them at Home Depot. So and then there's two zip ties onto the mount, and then the mount connects to the SIP tube. SIP tube goes back to the hydration pack. Okay, this is legal by the AMA's rules. Okay, this is legal. All right, and it's rigid too. It's gonna do what it's supposed to do. Okay. Also, there is no chance of any sort of traumatic brain injury with this. Okay. What I'm about to read you is fucking horseshit. I'm sorry for the language if there's any kids watching this, but it's bullshit. Okay, this whole thing is nonsense. So allow me to do what I did in the last video, which is read the back and forth. So I sent the AMA, a video of this SIP tube, and I've been doing it very respectfully. hey, here's your rules, here's our rule, here's what we want to do, yada yada. Okay. So this is what they sent me back. Okay. Regarding the specific video, which is the video that I sent these dudes, we did exempt the hydration systems, but this adds a rigid component. Okay? Now I want you to, as I read this, think about what they're saying, and also think about your 7th grade general physical science class, or the time you walked into your boss's office and he had the little silver balls on his desk. Okay? Although the rotation stress would not be great, a direct blow to the front of the camera would drive it into the helmet. 20% of all concussions are due to mandibular blows, like your mandible, you know. In motocross, that generally involves one decelerating and hitting the crossbar. There is also a concern that a superiorly, this guy doesn't even know how to fucking write, posteriorly directed force would drive the camera into the eye hole and into the goggles. Basically, they present an idea to circumvent the rule and its intent, which after analysis, this is one day, this isn't even 12 hours of analysis, by the way. This is their fucking analysis. Increases injury potential. I do not believe we should make an exception. Well, first of all, you can't make an exception because this follows your rule. Okay? So this is my retort. This is all speculation, which it is. Okay? Now, fun fact, one of my jobs is forensics. I do crime scene investigation, forensics, weapons intelligence, stuff like that. Okay? So if I was to say anything like this dude just said in court, the district attorney would never use me ever again. I'd be laughed at by my peers. I'd be professionally embarrassed myself for essentially, I mean, that sort of retort is the type of stuff where you're like, hey, somebody needs to get Bobby in medical because he's going to get us all fucked around here. Okay? This is also speaks to the fact that whoever that they hired to make this rule is either not qualified. I mean, he's clearly not qualified, but he might be in the wrong department. Like, this isn't a medical reconstruction. This isn't we found a corpse and we have to find what happened. This is a general physical science issue here. This is mass acceleration, that type of stuff. All right? Anyway. So this is what I read. This is what I wrote back. This is all speculation. None of it's based in fact. And I'll get to that in a second. It's all hypothetical theory crafting. Okay? So there's now, if the gentleman would have wrote back, or the person would have wrote back, hey, look, we've seen, evidence of this happening, da-da-da-da-da. Then I don't have a foot to stand on. A direct blow to this is me writing back. The direct blow to the front of the camera would drive into the helmet. What? Is this individual basing his opinions on science fiction? Listen, I've dealt with this before. Civilians who watch war movies and then make policy on their imagination. The above statement is absolutely outrageous. Isn't the AMA concerned? That statement doesn't raise red flags for you guys? This individual is literally making things up, and he is. She is. Seriously, not only does it not make any sort of sense, it's impossible due to general physical science. Now, anybody who's had a GoPro on their chin and is scorpion-tailed over the bars, or you can watch my videos. There's numerous times where I'm over the bars and the bar comes up and hits my helmet. Nothing happens. In fact, one of them, it just cracks the lens of the helmet. Anyway, the helmet gets driven up. It doesn't get driven back. And even if it did, Like, like this guy's watching Michael Bay movies. Secondly, not only does it make any sort of sense, it's possible for. Secondly, and my favorite, drive the camera into the eye hole and into the goggles. Now, I saw this coming, and I looked at what some of the safety specifications are for getting your goggles credit. So number one, I don't know if AMA over like if they approve certain goggles over other ones, but like some of these like I looked into Liat. Liat has like their goggles can get hit with like something traveling at over 1,000 feet per second. So and like the other thing too. I mean, like the size of a pebble flying at you is going to blind you or hurt you more, or a rock. I mean, again, in some of my videos where at the whole shot where we're like, especially Iron Man and some of the races in Pennsylvania, we're firing rocks all over the place, like, and not like pebbles, like rocks. There's one video where I get hit straight in the dick with a rock. I was fine though. Some of these goggles can take hits over 1,000 feet per second. It's just like when you buy a case of bullets and it tells you the FPS on the side. Same thing with goggles. Some of them have a certification. It's like having an airsoft goggles, meaning they're almost bulletproof. The cameras never leave the mounts. This individual again is making things up. He then says 20% of all concussions are due to mandibular blows. Fine, thank you. Finally, we get some sort of statistics. Okay, great. How many of them had GoPros on them? And of that small percentage, how many caused any sort of harm? This, if you walked into court and there was a lawsuit against GoPro, they would call in forensics guys to be like, look, this is how it happened. There would be like studies. They would take the helmet, put a GoPro on. Like you just can't arbitrarily say things like this, not in a scientific discussion. This isn't about hypotheticals. This is This is like, hey, look, we're basing our rule on this. Here's evidence to speak to it. Like guys are bringing up that one F1 driver. Okay. Even though it wasn't true, that you know what I mean? Like you can't. When the forensic pathologist looked at that GoPro accident, the GoPro mount had nothing to do with that guy getting hurt. The rock traveling at 60 miles an hour while he was on skis caused the accident. The sudden stop, the sudden impact caused the accident. All right? Anyway. I say, see, this sort of question this individual should have at the ready to present their case, non-hypotheticals. These guys should have presented they should have put a PDF on their website to say, look, here's where we're going with this, here's the facts, and we'd like some feedback. Because, let me reiterate this, because I know AMA guys are watching this, you guys work for us. We don't work for you. You're supposed to be helping us. This doesn't help us. This is me talking. In conclusion, the AMA has someone with a medical degree that moonlights as a science fiction author. The individual clearly has never been on an ATV or dirt bike, which is what I said from the beginning, and your organization should be greatly concerned. Gravely, I said, but not gravely. There are possibly thousands of examples of riders with cameras mounted in front of their helmet who scorpion tail over the bars with no ill effects. I have examples of my GoPro eating the bar pad with no ill effects. This is often referred to as evidence. All the information put out so far by the AMA has been contradictory. Should the camera break away or should it be rigid? Again, isn't the AMA concerned after reading this response? This is in no ways alerting. I mean, wouldn't you this is like medical quackery. Not only is it not, it doesn't really have anything to do with medicinal evidence. Like this is like something that should be done in like a DOT, a place where they test helmets. And I bet the farm that none of this stuff is true, which I'll get to at my final point. Thanks for your time. I can't argue with philosophy. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go around their rules because I'm smarter than them, and they don't want a rigid mount. Well, guess what? We'll just use a different type of SIP tube material. This is 3/8 in outside diameter, 1/4 inch inside diameter of SIP tube. But what we can do is mount a thicker tube around this one, and then we can use the Velcro to make sure that the mount stays, because it's not rigid. We don't want anything rigid coming through the helmets. So now, I've had several people who will remain anonymous and who are race at the pro level, and not just GNCC. I've gotten private messages on Facebook. In fact, I created a separate Facebook account just so I could burn it, so there's no evidence of anyone getting in trouble who has like a real career with motocross and stuff like that. So I've been told, and this is what they call hearsay. It would not be admissible in court. That's what's considered evidence. That this has to do with GoPro dropping AMA as a title sponsor. So I don't know if that's true, but if it's true, that's pretty shitty. Because a lot of people are like, this is about money. So I don't know if that's true. It sounds plausible to me at this point, because this is clearly not based. From the beginning I said, like, okay, I'm willing to, you show me some medical evidence because I want to protect myself. Like, I don't want to get fucked up out there. You show me some medical evidence of what's going on, and I'll acquiesce. I will say, you guys are smarter than me. You guys are right, and I can't fight City Hall at that point. But this is nonsense. Also, if anyone from GNCC is watching this, could you might fight for us a little bit? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is like, why isn't anybody worried about this? This has nothing to do. What's the next thing that's going to happen? You're not going to allow. I mean, you can't have stickers or advertising on your bike or something like that. Like, what's next? You're gonna have mandatory chest protectors and neck guards next. There's gonna be it doesn't end here, because some dude out there is trying to justify his job at the AMA. Now, if I was in charge of the AMA and I read this, just, hey, we don't want cameras on a helmet anymore. And also, don't give me the helmet manufacturers ask for this, because either someone is retarded at the helmet manufacturers and don't understand how the legal system works, or getting sued, or like the helmet. I don't believe the helmet manufacturers asked for this. If they did, show me evidence. Show us any sort of fucking evidence about this. Show us any sort of evidence. Show us something. Put a statement out. It'll shut everybody up. It'll stop everyone from all you got to do is, why aren't you meeting us halfway? Why, AMA, why aren't you meeting us halfway? Why can't you, are you that high up in your ivory tower that us peons who pay your dues and shit every year for what? I have AAA. You know what I mean? And guys like me, and you know what's funny is, guys like me, if I fuck myself up, I go and I'm fucked up, and I go to the hospital, and I went to the hospital in 19 at Ironman. I had to go to the hospital because my eyes got glued shut by mud. You can't take your goggles off anymore? Is that the next rule? You're dying of heat stroke out there. You can't take your goggles. What's next? Just write us why. Don't say you can't. Just tell us why. and then give us a good reason. Don't just, don't make this is made up. This is not. This is made up. This is like gun control level nonsense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, take the guns out of the criminals' hands, not out of people who obey the law. Like, it's, you know what I mean? I can't. Like, this is just a sad commentary on the way things work in this country anymore. So, and it's like at what point, like no offense to the guys in the competition division, but like, what do you guys do for us? You have an epidemic of guys sandbagging in all these C classes. You said, and they're saying we can't. I asked it at the GNCC banquet. Hey, can you when they fucking register for GNCC, just do a quick Google. And they said they can't. And I'm like, you can't? When I drive home in my Super Duty and I'm trying to see the results, all you got to do is do a quick search of the guy's name in AMA. It takes 15 minutes. So you guys can't, it's not like there's 1,000 classes. There's like 6 C classes. You guys, you're telling me that you can't look these dudes up and then do this on your own? We got to report them. We have to self-regulate. Well, let us fucking self-regulate with the camera. Who's going to get sued here? The AMA is going to get sued for what? Everyone should be mad about this. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but everyone should be upset with this because this isn't about GoPros. This isn't about me doing wheelies and shit like that. Although that stuff, I'm glad that the guys troll because it gives me something to do. Like when it's like 3 feet of snow outside, but like, this isn't going to stop here. It's only going to get dumb unless people fight this stupid rule. Then it's next year. It's going to be some other bullshit. I'm telling you. I've seen this before. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the guys who are supportive. For the guys who are trolling, it really is enjoyable. So, and then everyone just try and stay safe from the real things that might hurt you.